Great. Awesome.
Yep, loading,
We're
loading,
patient.
loading.
Unfortunately, how long? Wait for a time. How long? This is. 6 hours.
On this end, it says it's streaming live on YouTube.
Yeah, we're just getting it to stream on the website.
Ah.
Yeah, it's the very last step. Here we go. Hi, Jerry.
And sound check is good.
Check. Yeah.
We're all in agreement now. Rather cookies.
I think you look at the.
Rather cookies. It'll make it so much better.
If I nod off on.
Yeah, we should see. Yeah, good numbers. Yeah. It's been running pretty consistent. So. Nobody cares.
Is that why you want to share?
Well, I just wanted to cheer everybody.
And definitely we are cheered.
I did.
I think we all need matching shirts. Shout it out. Well.
I can't see John that well, because
We got a couple that would go, and I think I got them on 50% off day. Actually, yeah, about $3.
We're good.
Okay. I was just waiting for the screen to get
There we go.
big.
Yeah.
There we go.
There's my
Okay.
buddy.
All right, let's get ready, let's get the man. Let's see if she's here.
I don't know. It's good.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, I just want to make sure.
Sure.
Okay, we're good.
All right. So it is 6:05 PM. I'm calling this meeting of the Board of Selectmen of the town of Georgetown to order. It is Tuesday, August 13th, 2024. And let's go ahead and start with the pledge of allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll do roll call next. I am Lynette Kelsey, police judge. Rob Connell.
Here.
Amanda is not here at this point in time. She may join us later if she can. John Jennings.
Here.
Dwayne Gazinski.
Here.
Mary Smith. Rich Barrow.
Here.
Wonderful. Next, we have agenda approval. Do we have anything, any changes to the agenda? Okay. Who would like to make a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Make that motion. I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Audience business. Members of the audience have 5 minutes to present any matter of interest related to the business of the town that is not already on the agenda. We don't have anybody in the room, I don't think. Anybody online?
We have 2 people online. I'm not sure if they would want to speak during audience business, but if they do, they can type their name into the chat.
We'll give them a moment to do that. Okay, everybody's stepping forward. All right, seeing no one, we will go on. Payables we have in front of us are from July 19th through August 8th, 2024. Any questions on the payables?
It's probably a question for John, but is the Adams County Sheriff training, is that from Adams County? They came up here?
No, sir, we rent the track at times to do driver training down there,
Okay,
so.
got it.
And I did get a confirmation from Mary Sims earlier that it's in the water fund, there was a payment to Velocity that is memoed as repairs to water line at 8th Street, and it was actually 9th Street, it's just for everybody's information. So. Okay, is there any,
I'll move to approve the payable stated as amended. 7/19 to 8/8/2024.
Second, John.
okay, been moved and seconded, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? That motion passes. The minutes that we have to approve tonight are from our regular meeting on July 23rd, 2024. And I had no corrections. Anybody find anything?
I'm shocked.
No, Jen doesn't say.
I
A great job.
Yeah, very, very
Okay.
difficult.
Oh.
It's just little typos. It's nothing important.
Just little typos. yeah.
Sweet.
Well, I'll move to approve the regularly scheduled meeting minutes of July 23rd, 2024 as amended.
All in favor, moved and seconded, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. First on our new and unfinished business agenda is our police report from acting police chief Gaskins.
Call volumes increased again over the past 3 weeks. Getting a lot of call outs at night, calls during the day, called out 4 AM the other morning, just in case I wasn't sleeping. Also a call from trespass, burglary, domestic. This weekend I had 2 arrests, 1 felony from a traffic stop, resulting with a search warrant. I haven't executed the search warrant. I'll do that tomorrow. That'll be looking for guns and drugs on that one. It's been really busy this past year. I can't express that enough. The license plate reader program is up and running. So we have the cameras working. They are attached now to our terminals, my phone. It's already been a phenomenal in terms of what it's able to do. And so I've attached some pictures to this report. The first is of my patrol vehicle. So we can search for vehicles, suspect vehicles, for example, that may have come through the license plate reader system. This is what it'll look like. It'll look like that with what it has identified on the vehicle as being unique. In this case, it'd be the license plate on the computer. It highlights it red. So that is what it has identified, and you can see on the second picture what that looks like. You have that red line around the license plate. That's what the camera picked up on. If it wasn't the license plate, if there was no license plate, it would look for unique defects, for example, dents or something like that, maybe a bumper sticker that it will read, and that becomes the unique identifier for the vehicle.
Can it detect like broken tail light, headlights?
It can, but it looks for, yes, it looks for something unique with that vehicle.
Okay,
And then tags it, and that's how we search for it.
okay.
Is it as detailed as like, you know how some people use translucent red tape to kind of make up a taillight? You ever seen that?
Yeah, I have, all the time.
Is it that
You know,
good or is
that I don't know. I don't know how detailed is, how picky it's gonna
No,
be.
I get
But
it.
if it picked up every red tape tail light,
It like spread
Yeah.
the fingerprint from the tape. That detail.
DNA.
So it also keeps track of how many vehicles have passed by. So for example, August 6th, we had 4,943 vehicles enter that roundabout. And these are not repeat vehicles. It takes it records a license plate, it only does it once. You can drive around there 10 times and it's only gonna record your license plate once. August 7th, 6,265 this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Friday, 7,749. Saturday, 10,182. Sunday, 8,986. Friday, Saturday. Between those 2 days, Friday and Saturday, it picked up 6 stolen vehicles or stolen license plates. It picked up 4 vehicles that had either a gang affiliated attachment or somebody is on the terrorist watch list coming through. And it picked up 2 warrants. Friday, Saturday. So this is what the system is capable of doing. I've already accepted, connection with other jurisdictions so that our systems will talk to one another. And if they send out a hot list, then it goes to our system. If it comes through, on a weekend or something, it sends a notification to me that this vehicle is on a hot list for whatever reason. It'll let me know that if there's a vehicle attached to a missing child coming through, if there's any sort of other missing person coming through. And so, it goes to my phone, it goes to my mobile data terminal, and it comes to my office terminal as well, desktop computer. So we had some training today. We're still kind of perusing the system and getting accustomed to it. But it seems it's going to be an absolute asset. It's a force multiplier for us in solving crimes. It's also going to help with multi-jurisdictional investigations, either initiating them quicker or being involved with them when we're notified that this vehicle is part of another investigation in another jurisdiction. And I'm hoping it can really improve public safety by leaps and bounds. And we'll get this information out to the community as well as to a general idea of what this system's going to do, how it benefits them, and sends the word out that if you come into Georgetown, your vehicle, and there's something wrong, if you're doing something wrong, your vehicle is apt to be picked up by this system and law enforcement notified. And being in a small town as opposed to Denver, response time is much quicker. I also included some data for July for stats, and you have those. I included Idaho Springs as well. So I don't know where they're getting their numbers. For example, traffic complaints, stops and incidents. For Georgetown, it was 5. For Idaho Springs, it was 16. Idaho Springs is constantly stopping cars at night, constantly. They'll do 16 a night. So I'm not sure where these numbers are coming from. And for Georgetown, they have 5. In July, I wrote 20 tickets. That's 20 tickets, not 20 traffic stops. That's just the tickets I wrote. So I'm not sure where that number is coming from, and I have to check with them. I just want to make sure that you understand that there is some discrepancies still with these statistics. And so I want you to make sure that, I get the most accurate data I can to you. And we're doing a lot more than what it's indicating.
So are the parameters of their definition not necessarily in alignment with how we're operating? So the motor vehicle reference could be an accident or a stalled car as opposed to you making the traffic stop and citation.
Yes, ma'am. The incident, that would fall under incidents. If it was something motorcyclist, whatever's going on that doesn't fall into a traffic stop, or something like that, they're gonna categorize it as a traffic incident. But we've had quite a bit, like there was a truck fire in town, maybe a couple of weeks ago, and I don't see where they've incorporated that in here. So I don't know what's going on. I have to give it Jeff Streeter to ask him how they're coming up with these numbers. I just don't think they're accurate. But for example, I get case numbers and I keep track of case numbers in my head. So when I get a case number that's out of sequence, I ask, where are the other 3 case numbers going? And it's went to the jail by accident, because they're clicking on Georgetown because the jail is in Georgetown, and it populates a number, and they're going with that number, forgetting that there's a police department here as well. So they're having to cancel that number and go with another number. I've told them, so that you're messing up my books. You know, I have to have accurate stats when I'm doing case reports, especially now, because it could factor into grants.
So, back to that truck fire, could it be being counted towards or credited towards the fire department and not?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So that's why it's not reflected on there, because the priority really was the fire and not.
Yes, ma'am, and the fire department was called out, so it could have gone to their stats, as opposed to ours. But I think it should be listed as an incident because it also affects law enforcement. If you've come off the interstate on fire and you've blown by 2 signs that say don't come off the interstate on fire, then that's a law enforcement matter as well, and so I'd like to have them incorporate that.
It's also your time, it's our time.
Oh, yes.
Department's time where you might be sitting there for an hour because of whatever.
And potential resources if I have to use
Yeah.
my fire extinguisher fire out. So anyway, I gotta get with Jeff Streeter on this stuff to kind of iron this out.
Is he Jeff Con? Jeff
Yes,
Streeter?
ma'am. He's,
Okay.
he's the director of the Jeff Con.
Okay, but he's not the county guy.
Oh, no, ma'am.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
So, so that's what I have, for these past 3 weeks, and it was a hasty report. I've just been so busy, I've had to fit it in where I can.
Kind of actually, the LPRs, I hate putting the A in front of it, it doesn't fit
Oh,
all.
I just use LPR, yes.
Thank you, good, let's call them LPRs. So if a vehicle, it only counts the vehicle once. But if the vehicle comes through 3 or 4 times, and let's not just say it's not a resident, you know, go along with the story for me. Cause they come through Georgetown, they case Georgetown, they move on. They go to Silver Plume, they check it out. Then they realize, they're better, they wanna come back to Georgetown, but at least reflect that vehicle at a different time slot coming back.
Yes, ma'am, so it should have,
So it only counts
so
once.
if you look on this photograph, it's got 11211 for this photograph, 1254 for this one, so it'll populate how many times this vehicle is
Okay.
captured. But it, from my understanding, it doesn't go into, when I say how many vehicles have come through this in the day. It doesn't count.
It only
this-
counts.
It only counts
It only
one
counts
time.
from one time.
Right, because from an investigative standpoint.
Oh, it'll pull it up as many times as it went from camera.
Yeah, because
Yes, ma'am.
when the incident actually occurs is when.
Oh,
you wanna be able
absolutely.
to use that.
Then
Okay,
in case at 1 o'clock and come back at 4 o'clock and
Yeah.
still stuff, so yeah,
Okay.
absolutely,
Okay.
it populates all the time.
thank you.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you, thank you.
Great.
And for the board's information, any Jeffcom 911 issues you might have heard of, the Jeffcom 911 is going to be on the commissioner's agenda next Tuesday. So I don't know what time, because they haven't,
Just wait.
it's the update discussion of what's going on. So and they wanted to hear from Jeffcom and talk about it, so, and the rest of the municipalities are welcome to join in, so I figured it's a good time to bring any issues that have come up.
Their agendas are pretty good with times of when the different items are gonna come up too.
Yeah, they'll have the agenda out pretty quick here, so I didn't look for it yet, but
I just have a question. It just seems like this, you know, the Jeffcom, the reviews that I've been hearing haven't been favorable. And I just wonder, and this may be a very stupid question, but could we ever take back 911 and have it in Gregory County again? Or is it just too expensive to?
why don't you, well, we can bring that question, I mean, you know. So the question would then go to the county. Are they willing to build that back up? Cause they've completely broken it down.
Yeah.
And we know what it was
Maybe-
costing, we know what it was costing. And we haven't given this one even a full year. So, I think it's a little bit premature to say it's not working, bag it.
Well, the one
Um,
thing that 911, one of the root reasons why 911 is so successful is that the dispatchers know where the cross streets and they know the location. The dispatchers at Jeffcom don't give that confidence to the callers.
So that's something they need to be made aware, that the community is aware that,
But I've actually experienced it personally. too.
okay, okay,
We had a fire in Empire
okay.
at the western end and, yeah, they're asking me to cross street and I'm like, it's on the frontage road. Just west of Empire or east of Empire. They're like. Okay,
Yeah, but that's part of training too, though, you know,
Exactly.
And
I'm sure.
you can't tell me that everybody who works for Denver PD knows every neighborhood in Denver the first day on the job, you know,
They don't.
they're looking, you know, and they look at another town kind of thing. That hopefully they're gonna build that knowledge up, you know, as they continue on. I think unfortunately, as John has told us, that because we're the smaller community, the county wide, we tend to be the training ground and then, you know, they put on their big boy pants and move on. But I think they need to know that we're not happy with the services and I'd like us to look at the contract and see if there's anything outlined in that, you know, to put some pressure on as to what the expectations are. You know, but we're kind of SOL as far as other options unless we talk to Gilpin or
right.
Summit, and that, you know, we're not just gonna do that like overnight.
Well, it hasn't, we haven't given them time.
So,
I'd be interested to find out how it's working for EMS and fire services also. I think
So,
there may be lessons learned from how they're using it or categorizing calls or whatever.
you know, the same dispatcher does police and fire like in this area, or do they have fire or separate?
So they're supposed to have separated, EMS and fire into one, so there's a dispatcher that handles that, and then there's a dispatcher that handles law for the law enforcement side of things. Whereas before, maybe 3 weeks ago, one dispatcher handled all three. So they have supposedly changed that, and I have noticed that because I've been using LE1 on fire scenes and things of that nature. They have not instructed me to go to FD1. So I would say it's now in use where one dispatcher covers fire and EMS, one is law enforcement.
so next Tuesday. All right, any other comments or questions on this topic? Thank you, John. We're going on. So next we have Bob Hamilton, a professional services agreement, updates on street lighting and a Strauss Park status report, so.
I would like to start.
Why don't you go ahead, Bob?
I'm just gonna summarize let's talk about the street lighting project that kind of has grown. Back in February, Rick asked me, I guess we had a number of lights out on Argentine Street. Could I take a look at them and see what was wrong and see what we could do? It wouldn't cost us a couple $1,000 a light to get them back on there. So long story short, I did a survey, all the details of that are in your, you know, in one of the reports there. It turns out that we have basically two different styles of pendants up there. The holes are all essentially the same. The original ones that went down at the Rotary and down to like 11th Street. They use like a high pressure sodium or mercury vapor, I believe it was a bulb type of light, you know, with the big base on it. With a transformer and, you know, capacitors and all that stuff. Some of those I think have been replaced to take LED bulbs, most of those that are along there. The newer ones that came in, they work fine. I mean, they didn't give us glare for people driving down the road. The new stuff that went in on the south end of Argentine all the way down to 6th. They look the same, but they use a high intensity LED platelet type of thing, which is, you know, it's basically an electronic assembly. So if anything goes wrong with that, it's gonna cost you significant dollars, probably excess of $1,000 to get it repaired or replaced. So we looked at, and prior to my getting involved, several of those lights were converted by Triangle Electric. And they added the ability to put an LED bulb in it, which is what we want to go with. I tracked down the manufacturer, talked with them. We have ordered the parts to go ahead and convert the remaining. There's a few that didn't get converted by Triangle. We've got those parts on order. They're supposed to arrive the end of this month. There were, I believe, there were 9 pendants that had either had in storage or had fallen down. One of which was bagged beyond repair, so it basically was trash. We got all the parts to go ahead and upgrade those and convert them all to take bulb, LED bulb. And that's really what this first part of this thing is. That all that stuff is in process. The parts are on order. It's about a little less than $8,000 worth of material. At the same time, Cindy was getting ready for the Argentine North project. It turns out that we can't get any more of the street lights that we have on Argentine Street. We were able to get them to make 21 more that will look like the ones that we have, and it will have the LED bulbs in them. But that's it. So Cindy went ahead and ordered that. They'll be here. I think some of the stuff gets here in late September, and I think the poles actually get here in November. But that's a separate project that's coming out of a separate budget. In looking at the lights, I noted, being an electrical engineer by training and looking and having an appreciation for the electrical code, I noticed the little pigtails hanging out of the bottom of the lights for plugging in the Christmas decorations is probably not a good idea. I don't think your insurance people would like that. So I looked at what could we do to put something that would be more code compliant and put it up where it's out of the reach of public. And we can, on the Argentine South, those 30 lights there. Well, that's, I think you got there yet.
Okay.
Rick asked me to.
We could add an outlet at the top of the Argentine lights that are there. It is not too expensive. The biggest thing is going to be the work. And I'm hoping town staff could go ahead and drill a couple holes, put the box on, run the wire down and connect it down to the base of the light. Hopefully we don't have to hire an electrician to do that. It's not complicated, pretty straightforward. And they put those little plugs in. So that's 2 things. We're gonna fix it so they take LED bulbs and then they can be maintained easily and cost effectively by town staff. And we're gonna solve the the Christmas decoration problem by putting a GFI that's ground fault, like this stuff, so we get too much water or something, it will trip, push a little button on like you do the thing in your bathroom. If you have those in your bathroom, which you should have, but anyway. We looked at, this is the same problem downtown in the historic streetlights.
Is that the C one?
That is,
Is that A, B, or C?
that's A. A and B pretty much look very much the same. C looks different. We broke this one doing work in Strauss Park. The backhoe got loose and knocked it off. So when the guys took it down, they gave it to me. I took it home, took it all apart, measured everything, cleaned it up, put new, and that's just like that. It's a plastic. It doesn't sound real glass. And I was able to add an outlet.
Okay.
So we can plug stuff in. And that's, that's the code. I did talk to St. Phil, and they said, well, I would really rather, we'd like to see an in-use cover, which we could do, but the plastic, and it would come out to about here. But he said, yeah, these are probably okay. Technically, that doesn't meet code, but that's the way you get it from the manufacturer, because we have those similar things built into the poles that we bought for Strauss Park. And it comes with the same type of coverage, so. I actually was able to find where these were made. These were custom made for us back. 80s, 90s, I don't know, a long time ago. They come out of Pennsylvania. I've been in contact with them. For what I'm being told, you could get more. Look just like this and put them on the poles in Strauss Park, which is a separate little, that's not in this stuff here. To go ahead and convert all the ones downtown, basically, we'll take them down, we'll add the electrical outlet to it, we'll clean them, paint them, convert them. This now takes a standard screw-in LED bulb. We can do all that, and that's what's really in the proposal here. That won't cost.
20,000 total.
Let's, yeah, I mean, that's both projects. They're within the $20,000 budget. My current estimate is like $17,820. So it gives us a couple $1,000 to play with, and they're standardized. Yeah, great.
Are these estimates and look, they're not like today, are they? They're like, did you pad them a little bit?
Yeah, they had it. That's why there's a contingency. That's why he's driving that fancy car.
No, I'm just saying, because prices go up.
Well, I mean, I rounded all the material price for you, so they're today's numbers. I mean, they're,
Okay.
and my labor is $35 an hour. What I'm proposing is the town can take them down, give them to me, I will fix them, test them, give them back to the town, and the town can put them up. That does not include the cost to the town for town staff to go ahead and do this, that should already be covered. That's what Rick and I had talked about. The only wrinkle is if the town staff is comfortable doing the, simple electrical connection work. It's all 120 volts.
It's 3 wires, and they're color coded.
But that was, they were supposed to be doing that last year and there were some issues.
We lost
So,
Bare wires. Was there some bare wire? I am more than happy to work with town staff to,
I thought Triangle came out and trained them as to how to.
They added the
rewire
pigtails,
that.
that's what they did.
That what?
They added the pigtails he was describing.
That's all our town staff did at the time?
Yes.
So there was okay.
Yeah.
I know there are a couple of lights on Argentine Street that don't work. I don't know why.
Okay.
I mean, once they go into it, I can certainly help them figure out where the problem is. That's within my skill set.
So when you made reference in your report to some of the maintenance issues where over time because of the wind, they're falling apart, is that something that if we were checking on that on an annual basis and tightened them up or replaced them, then we would be
Yeah,
saving some money in the
what
long run?
we're getting 20 new connectors that connect the pendant to the arm.
Yeah,
They're slightly different design than what we had before. And the difference basically is because the way they're made, they're kind of slotted on one side, it's a big nut. The original ones was aluminum nut, an aluminum pole, as soon as you tighten it down, that's it, you never get it off. And the only way I was able to get them off were the ones that did fall down was to cut it off. These, you actually have a set screw that closes that gap in the nut. It's kind of a slotted nut that allows you to then get it off. I'm curious to see what they send for. There's a press fit, which you basically bag it up with a hammer, and then there's a hole that goes through with a bolt. I don't know what they're gonna send for bolts, but what I intend to do is I'm gonna go get a grade 5 or something And I'm gonna get it non-threaded. So that it's a smooth thing, so that it doesn't wear as much. We could look at putting two, one going this way, one going that way. But I think we should expect what's there once a year, once every couple of years, something like that. And just see if it's loose and swinging around, then we wanna do something.
Right.
So we've got parts coming that'll be, more than what we need to go ahead and fix any ones that are out there. So that, I asked, do they have a newer design, and they don't, but this is what they have in it. There's a different manufacturer, who the guys that made the lights down in Strauss Park, it's a much better design, but it doesn't work with using these payments.
So this is coming out of the money that we already allocated, right? From ARPA?
That's my understanding.
Correct.
Awesome. That's right.
Yeah,
Okay.
he was, the way that Bob and I have looked at this, he's already assessed them. He already knows what to do. He's already played with one to fix it. He has the skill to do it. We'll use our staff to do it as well. And we can get all of our lights fixed and stay in budget.
Do we make a motion?
We don't need a motion.
We don't need one, we already did, but this is great, the information to
Okay.
go along with
Thanks for
it.
bringing that up.
Okay.
I didn't know if there was a suggestion.
Didn't look light, so.
Well, don't we have to approve this?
Hang on.
So is it possible if you're outfitting these with the outlets and the GFIs and everything, that especially anything along Sixth Street? Or anywhere, to drop that so that it's more at the base of the unit? I mean, we're talking about bringing in potentially food trucks or whatever. There's an opportunity where you said.
That's not, I mean, this is 20 amp, 120 volt. If you wanna bring in a food truck, you really need probably 240, 50.
Oh, and I'm not talking necessarily for them to be able to operate their truck per se, but if it was, or plugging in a light or, something other than major decorations where it makes sense to have them up at the top of the lantern piece, but for other, and I don't know what they would be, but just to have some down at ground level for.
I think with kids around and stuff. Yeah, that's why they,
Plastic babies.
Right,
that's why
Okay.
they're.
let's put them in the shape of Mickey Mouse.
Keep people out of it. That's really what it's like.
Well, and also, doesn't water collect at the base and not at the
Well,
top?
not at these, I mean, there's holes.
Yeah, that's true, yeah, they're like.
Get you a little louder.
Okay.
And since Kansas seems very effective, they don't take long.
Thanks.
Thank God.
Thank you.
They look nice when they're all cleaned up. Yeah, that's, yeah. Right.
Indeed.
That one's not 100%,
Got
Yeah.
symmetrical because it was like this.
it? Not flat.
I can't weld aluminum, so it's screwed in epoxy back there. Just step back 10 more feet. We've got two that look similar to this, but then they got like a candle chimney inside, and I think we could get those. I've asked for a price to replace, it's gonna cost to get 6 to replace the ones in Strauss Park, and to either convert or replace the 2 that are on side streets, the town moved to side streets, so that's a future project. Because I don't even have the prices for that stuff yet, I'm sure they're gonna be a couple $1,000 a piece.
Is it still an issue as to who owns them or who's supposed to be, are we back and forth with Excel or are we?
I think we own it, I mean, I was able to go back and look through some of the paperwork, and it said that the town went to task with public service. And it finally was resolved, the town bought like 5 more of these back in the mid to late 90s. Poles, lamps, and had somebody put them in.
But then we sold them the poles, we bought the poles from us, we bought the poles initially and then they bought the poles from us, so did they own the poles?
I don't know, I don't know, I didn't see that anywhere.
That was in this, trust me, I don't make it crap up.
I thought you might have.
The email chain was kind of convoluted.
I don't know, and that's why my suggestion was we probably ought to get some kind of a written agreement with Excel that we own and will maintain those lots.
And if memory serves, we've tried to do that, and I think another attempt would be a good idea, because it's silly to keep, you know, if there are repairs being needed, then all of a sudden Excel says, no, that's yours. But if, you know, Excel wants something, if it's to their advantage, then they claim them. So I think it would be nice to get the whole thing settled, who owns them from here on, so.
I mean, I've got the name of somebody from 1990 something, 96. I could stop there and see where it goes today.
The town administrator at the time,
Well, no, I mean, between Rick and I think we can write a letter to Excel saying.
Okay.
We understand that we own and are responsible to maintain these. Do you agree? Sign here.
right, and what's your authority to sign? Because I'm not crazy about the idea of Excel going, well, that person had no right to, you know, sign them over to you, so.
The other issue that we have is when we send Excel the list of lamps to fix because the lights aren't working. The understanding is they just fix the light bulbs. But if there's anything that needs maintenance, they go and do it, and we got a bill for $30,000 for one light.
Yeah, I remember that.
And we never told them to do it. And so we said this light needs to be fixed, and all of a sudden we got a bill for 30-something thousand. We would not have paid 30-something, 10,000 to fix a light. We wouldn't have done it, we would have left that light off.
Yeah.
And so in this kind of sense, we're saving thousands of dollars by doing it in-house.
Right.
Right.
So it's a no-brainer on us being responsible for taking care of these things.
Well, the other thing is you wouldn't get it. I mean, if they went out and said, well, because that was one of the things that was in one of the letters is, well, we can't replace these or fix these. We'll have to replace it with something and it's gonna be, you know, something we pull out of the catalog over here that looks
Right.
nothing like what we have.
Right.
And it's nothing like what we want. So this way we got total control and we know where to go now to get parts. At least I have that indication.
So,
Like the lights at Argentine Street, you can't go directly to the manufacturer. You have to go through a distributor. Well, this time I went directly to the manufacturer, now I'm back, I have to go through the distributor to get a price and delivery, but at least. I know they can build it, so.
now that Bob Hamilton has done all this work on this project, we want to actually put it under contract. And Yes, okay, I didn't know what motion you were talking about, and now go back to the contract.
Okay.
And yes, we will need a motion for that. So, but I'll let Rick introduce the contract.
Yeah, so Bob has already explained a lot of the things that he's kind of done. What this contract does is focus exclusively on the lighting project that we're doing. And we already have a budget that was approved. He's gonna stay within the same budget and be able to do this with our staff. So that's why we wanted to do a separate contract. We looked at his other contract, we could have amended it, however. We think it's easier to do separate contracts according to the project that we're working on. And so that's the method that we came is, this is just for the lighting project, there's nothing else. And if there's another project that Bob comes with, it will come back to the board. So that we don't go, oh, where's that coming from? No, we know where the money's coming from, we know what the scope is, and we're gonna limit it to that. So it makes it much smoother on what we're doing and where we know exactly the funds are coming from.
I believe your auditors will appreciate them too.
Yeah. It's much easier. So that's what you have before you.
Can I make that motion? I'm going to approve Bob Hamilton's professional services agreement.
I'll second that, John.
Been moved and seconded to approve Bob Hamilton's professional services contract. All, is there further discussion on that? other than expressing appreciation for all the hard work you've
Awesome.
already done. Yeah,
Thank you.
okay,
All in favor?
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Not surprising. Okay, Strauss Park.
Okay, you have, this is my July report, I never did get around to doing one in June. So we're probably considering it from the last 2 months. Basically, where we're at is Star Park Plaza is 95+% complete. We are within budget. I've got a punch list of a whole bunch of items to get wrapped up. They are all within budget. My goal is to get as much done in terms of amenities for that park, like the same, you know, all that kind of stuff within the budget. So, and I'm comfortable that if we can accomplish everything on the list, and that'll be done over probably the next couple of months or so. And now everything is detailed, I give you the detailed budget breakdown. The next major piece of work in the park, which is got its own budget, which is another ARPA thing, is the parking lot work. The concrete work, which is really part of the base Strauss Park budget, for the sidewalk up to the restroom, and to tie all that together. We were supposed to start that earlier this month, we had a scheduling problem with the contractor. Then the rains came and he didn't want to get started and get rained on. So now the plan is to start next Monday. And he's hoping that, you know, that should only take 3 or 4 days, so hopefully by the end of next week, we'll get all that in. And that's the drains and curb and gutter and sidewalk from Rose Street to the restaurant. And we'll be putting in the irrigation, the plant, the creative planter up by the restroom area. No, by the restroom, as well as behind the shelter area. The next step after that would be, once we get the curb and gutters in and get all that hard stuff done, to go ahead and redo the surface in there. I'm having reservations, I wanted to bring it to your attention tonight. The plan and the budget calls for gravel pave, which is this plastic grid thing that you put down, and then you fill it all up with crushed stone. And it creates a great place for water to settle and percolate into the ground, as well as it should help, you know, considerably with keeping dust down. The materials for that are roughly $20,000. I would rather, I'm unclear on how well it will weather here with, you know, plows and winter traffic and all of that. Whether we want to spend that money for that kind of money for that experiment. It may work out great, it may not work out great. If it worked out great, we could do it down by the lake and other places. If money is tight, we may want to just go ahead and prep the subsurface. You know, we're planning on digging down about 4 to 6 inches and coming back up with, you know, good drainage material, road base basically, and then put a couple inches of I'd probably do a mix of 3/4 and like pea gravel on top, so that you have essentially a pretty solid gravel surface. We could do all that for a whole lot less than the $35,000 that we got budgeted. Those are my thoughts. I'm open for direction, I guess.
Is there a way to describe what you're talking about?
no more so than what you would have with the gravel pave. I mean, the gravel pave, you can buy the plastic. You know, dots and stuff, to go with it, you can do something more with that. I don't know how long that would last. The handicap area will be concrete. We will have curb stops, concrete curb stops. You know, not up against the sidewalk side, but on the opposite side, so that'll tell people where to park, yeah.
That's fine.
Not that it'll make any difference, but I mean,
It gives them some.
it gives them a target to work with their gigantic truck.
Right.
How do you see that pea gravel, larger size mix? Standing up to flowers and stuff like that.
That's my concern, I mean, they say, and then they've got supposedly installations here in Colorado and stuff, but
No, I don't mean the one that's proposed, I mean the alternate one that you're proposing, where if we don't do the $20,000.
well, I mean, I have crushed stone in my driveway, it's been there, I mean, it packs into the sub base, you see crushed stone all over the place, and I mean, once people start driving on this stuff, it packs in pretty good, and you really don't get dust from it.
Well, they can set their blade so that it's not.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what they have now, I mean, except that it's a whole lot more dirt there now than there is actual stone.
I think the bigger rock doesn't get stuck in the treads for regular cars as much.
Yeah.
That'd be the way I would lean, I guess.
I use 3/4 inch, yeah, I think that seems to be a good. And it,
Won't travel into the street.
and it's easily refreshed, Kevin can smooth it out, he's got that blade for his tractor that he dying to use.
But if we're mixing in pea gravel,
I wouldn't mix the sheep.
I was gonna say that I can see flying.
Yeah.
Why not, we get our little.
That's a good point, yeah, I would,
Pea gravel ends up being buckshot.
There you go,
Yeah.
exactly.
yeah, the 3/4 inch stuff, I mean,
It stays.
it's pretty.
I'm just gonna put your eye out, at least with the 3/4, you know.
Yeah, do a good job of that.
You can at least see it coming.
It'll knock you out of the process.
I just hesitate with pea gravel, because I think that we're just replacing.
I like the gravel.
I think it'll save us a bunch of money.
Is 3/4 inch like too small, or do you think it should be bigger?
No, it needs to back in.
No,
I think if you get much bigger, then if you wise up like that,
People
and
train.
Yeah,
it's fine for track vehicles, it should not. 3/4, I mean, 3/4 is what you see all over town, that people that have gravel driveways, that's pretty much what you're looking at. And that seems to be. I mean, it's not like you don't see it around town. It'd be nice to see how, we do a nice job on a parking lot that is reasonable cost. Maybe we can get other people to kind of follow suit.
I do like the idea of having a more predictable. Maintenance ability and being able to rely on the surface lasting rather than maybe not lasting. If we went with the more expensive, I don't know
I mean,
what it's like flying.
we could go this way, and if this doesn't work out, then you could go the other step. So that was kind of what my thought process was, let's try the cheap route, if that satisfies everybody's needs, good.
Then great.
If not, then we'll figure something else out. I like that.
Other thoughts?
I trust that,
Yeah, we do.
you make good
And
decisions.
3/4 inch rocks isn't gonna compact. It just, they're wrong. I mean, even with vehicles driving over it,
Yeah.
it just doesn't, I mean, look at the trail around the lake. That's not 3/4 inch rock. And look at the compaction on that, and that's almost down to a low grade base sand.
It is.
That's compacted very well, just. Yeah. For it, so.
Okay. Anything else for us?
I don't think so, so I'm gonna proceed with the less expensive.
Yeah.
Very good.
Okay, thanks very much, Bob.
Did you want to talk about electric poles?
No. I'm
Just
sorry.
ownership. Just ownership. Just ownership. Where's the ownership?
Well, there was something in there about the poles, that the poles were, yeah, so.
Okay. All right, moving on, we've got ordinance number 10, series 2024. This is a first reading. An ordinance amending section 3.28.020 of the Georgetown Municipal Code concerning the definition of lodging services. Who's taking that?
That's me.
Okay,
So we passed a special use in 1716-47 C11 Gateway Commercial District, adding inpatient facility as a special use to allow for, well, anything, but we were thinking about Chateau Chamonix in particular, transitioning to Serenity for Life. They talked to us about the taxation policy, and we wanted to make sure that that was clear in code, and so we want to add inpatient facility under the lodging definition within our code. So pretty straightforward, we just added inpatient facility. That's it. So, so now it reads, I don't want to read the entire thing, but it's a list, including hotel, motel, bed and breakfast, inn, apartment, hotel, lodging house, motor hotel, guest house, guest ranch, trailer coach, mobile home, auto camp, inpatient facility, or trailer court and park. So pretty simple. Any questions about that?
It's my understanding that their plan to operate was in 30-day increments. But this restricts us if they have a patient that, and I don't know how they're gonna deal with it business-wise, or any organization would, if they re-upped for another 30 days, let's say. So are we going to be able to control that with our business license with them, or should we not have it restricted? Or are we sticking with the 30 days because that's kind of our short-term rental language and everything else, or should it be at least 30 days or less? Am I splitting hairs here? So what's our short-term rental one? Is it up to 30, meaning it stops at 29? Or is it?
I think it's 28 actually.
Yeah, I think Jerry wants to answer that.
Yeah. Couple things. I think you are splitting hairs. A little bit.
That's what I'm here for.
I know that, and we honor that role that you play, and thank you. But a couple of things on the lodging tax side. I think the town wouldn't treat it any differently, for example, than if someone was in a hotel and then decided for 30 days decided to re-up. However we treat that for the lodging tax side would be no different, for this inpatient. On the subject of how we would want to be able to affect their business plan generally, that could be a condition of the business license, conceivably, but I guess I'd wait to see if it raises any problems that are separate and apart from the other kinds of lodging that you have. When you think about it, there's lodging in town and people sometimes re-up, sometimes they don't. I'm not sure that it matters to be looking at an inpatient facility much differently in terms of how long people are there and whether they come and go than other kinds of lodging. So I think I'd be inclined to say we treat it the same as other kinds of lodging because that's how we're defining it, among other things. And operationally see if, as we renew the business licenses, we can do every year, if there's a need to tinker with the business license to deal with some way in which they're operating, then fine, but my inclination is not to do that ahead of time.
I was thinking it should be consistent, however we've got it worded in the others, so that we're just consistent, it was 28, 29, whatever.
We can certainly check in between now and second reading. Fair question on that subject, yeah. We want the numbers to be the same.
Any other comments on this? Okay,
I'll move to approve ordinance number 10, series 2024.
Second,
okay, on first reading. It's been moved and seconded, all in favor say aye.
I'm gonna recuse since I just walked in.
You don't have to if you're. If you're.
I read
familiar
it, is
with
that okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely,
So it's cool, okay, so
Yeah.
I'm aye then.
okay,
Just
okay,
want, I've read it, I just didn't wanna
no, you're fine.
overstep.
You're in the nick of time to cast your vote. Any opposed? Motion passes. Awesome. Next we have the barrier floats for Georgetown Lake.
Yeah.
That's why he's here.
Nice pictures.
Yes, more than just. A pretty face? Yes, very great.
I don't know, most of you have known that in April, our buoys blew off the dam. And at the time, they were attached from, I guess it would be east end to west end, dam to, embankment to embankment. And, after doing a little research, most dams with buoys, and safety on dams are not attached to the dam. Most are, 15, 20 yards or even more than that, if boats are allowed on a lake or a reservoir or anything like that. So what we're proposing is doing a new buoy system at the lake. On shore to shore, not dam to dam, about 15 yards up. And cross the entire lake down by the dam. It's requiring about 400 feet of buoys to, protect the dam and stuff like that. I've talked to the state engineers and the state dam. In their minds, it's not part of their dam safety, things like that, that they look at the weirs, they're looking at seepage, they're looking at other things like that, and they said, however you want to protect the dam is, kind of up to you guys, so they're not recommending anything, but I went up to Cabin Creek, I went up to Clear Lake, I went over to Dillon Lake, and everyone's got buoys, and I'm sure most of you've seen them, that they're way out from the dam itself, not attached to the dam, which we have, I think it's 75 or 75 feet what we had that broke loose and hung over the dam for a few months almost. And so what Kasia put out a bid for was to cover the entire dam. And so what we're proposing is to do 2 anchors about 15 yards up from the dam, shore to shore, so no more canoes, because we had to go out there with a canoe, tie my employee off just to make sure he wouldn't go over as he was retrieving those buoys, and put him on the shore for safety and different things like that, from one side to the other. And I think we had 2 bids. One was
There's Tough Food, Worthington and Walsh Marine. And then Tough Food, I think, is a subsection of Worthington. And then Sea Light as well, but they never got back to me with an actual bid, so we got 2. Worthington came in at $10,647.90. That includes shipping and materials to connect them. Walsh Marine came in at 14,352. That does not include the cabling and some of the connecting pieces. So.
Walsh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
As well, yeah.
Worthington also just a little easier to work with.
And this wasn't in the budget, obviously, this is something that. This is reactive maintenance, you know, I'm a proactive maintenance guy, this is something that happened in April from the flood, or just the flow and stuff. So we're reacting to this. Mary was here, we were looking at how to budget from. The water department, that I was doing the upgrades of the computer system of cybersecurity and all that. I'm saving the town $25,000 on program. With the cybersecurity and different things like that, so this kind of is what we're kind of. If Mary was here to kind of say, this is where we can find some money to do this.
Yeah, and that's the water capital improvement fund, is the equipment section.
So that's kind of what we're proposing to do.
Can you get things printed on them, like? Warning, or go back before it's too late, just on each, like, go back before it's, and just have them.
Kind of like those road signs when you're driving down.
Right.
And then we're actually looking at that for the road racing. Or the ice racing.
Yeah.
They proposed yellow buoys, we wanted definitely orange, just to make sure that, cause they're gonna get frozen into the lake. And the yellow just ain't gonna sign out as much, so we definitely wanna keep them orange as bright as possible. To make the ice racing people aware of that, and so that's.
Do they have to say no wake, because we don't allow that kind of watercraft on there? I mean, I don't think anybody's going.
Kayaks can get pretty fast.
Or a kayak, you know, it just seems kind of silly.
I thought those were just like blanket examples.
Yeah, this is just the logo, the actual buoys are like these sort of ones.
Okay.
They're just orange.
Say welcome to Georgetown.
We're gonna
Sink or swim.
Thank you, Bob.
Niagara Falls this way.
Fast moving water.
I like.
That's never stop.
Goes fast.
Right.
I like the fact that we're giving more space between the dam and
Right.
the amount, because of the amount of use that lake is getting. I think that's just a good safety factor on our part, that we're shrinking that access.
And that end of the lake is getting a lot of.
Oh, yeah.
Use of abuse.
They're parking down there along the frontage road and filling that parking lot.
Yeah.
I mean, it might affect some of the fishermen that like to fish off the rocks there. And cast out, and there's now a buoy system out there, but I'm not.
They'll figure it out.
There's more of a safety factor than the fishermen at that point.
Yeah.
And we're just out of curiosity, are your guys gonna be the ones that do the install?
We will do the 2 anchors on the side, and yes, I guess we'll do one last carry along with the cables. And bring it across and.
You can use a boat or just walk across the bridge.
And just, we could.
I was gonna walk across the water.
This is where we like to drive our rescue story.
How long do you think to get if you're approved to get the buoy system?
The lead time,
Yeah,
Gosh, I think
Say,
we said,
3 weeks.
yeah, it's pretty,
Before
yeah,
that.
2 to 3 weeks.
Mhm.
oh, great, well,
Yeah.
water season before it gets cold.
yeah, these are, I think, both of the people that came out were from Midwest, Wisconsin, Michigan, you know, lakes. You know, all them out there, they got the buoys, you know, and different things like that. So, no. So I know, it's not preference.
This is.
Any other questions or comments?
I'm curious on what you guys think on the safety of, I mean, have you seen other dams that, I mean,
I just was
No,
at
I
the
like-
lake last night.
okay, and they're going from shore to shore, they're not doing dam stuff and so.
I didn't get close to the buoys, because that's what the rental boat people told me, but I did see it from a distance. It is extensive, I mean, if this is $10,000, I hate to shudder to think, but Dylan's bank, you know, across that stretch.
They have more money than us.
Yeah.
They're like, that's like pocket change to them.
So, I think Mary's ready to make the motion.
Go, Mary, go.
Judgment.
I move to approve the Worthington Barrier Flood quote for $10,657.09.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the Worthington Barrier float quote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Just
Motion passes.
Float.
It's right in the motion. She did too.
That is great.
Yep. It's right there. Okay, staff items, Assistant Town Administrator, Asia Hurd.
Okay, so I was asked to include my tax list, and I will do that moving forward. I just sort of hadn't been, sorry. So if you have any questions about it, I emailed it to all of you, but feel free to let me know if there's a particular item you want me to touch on. The big items that I want to mention are the common outdoor drinking area. We've adjusted our language there a little bit to be more clear. Jen and I have worked on an application. We are going to be passing that out to businesses this week, so they can start that procedure. And then HB 211110, that's the accessibility mandate. We got a grant for $10,000, so yay! We just learned about that on Monday, so that's a no match grant, we just get that money. So I'll be bringing a quote from Alliant, which is one of the remediation services, back to you next meeting, hopefully, so you get a chance to look at that, to use that grant money towards to get our websites up to date. So very excited about that. We're also working on getting Common Look, which is another grant that we got from SIPA, downloaded on relevant staff's computer so that we can be doing remediation efforts on our own. I am hoping that the Alliant bid is gonna be under $10,000. So we can use some of that money to pay Alliant to remediate our big documents like the Design Review Commission guidelines, which is like a massive thing that would take us a really long time to do, but would only take them, a couple of days probably, so. But I will have more information for you at the next meeting on that. We talked about buoys. We added the inpatient facility to the lodging definition. And we also made a change to code earlier this year to allow for outdoor events. There's gonna be a special use permit going forward on that. That I'm excited about.
We glossed over the Crazy Horse. Didn't you get stood up? Tell me about that.
I'll mention it in my report.
All right.
That's kind of Rick's court right now, so. Yeah, and those are the big things I wanted to bring up, but if you have any questions about other items, feel free to let me know.
Whatever happened to the like the kayak stands that we were looking at putting down there for the lake?
I was told to table that item.
Okay.
If there aren't any further questions for Keisha, we'll move on to Rick's report.
Great. Yeah, we tabled it just because we're in. We still haven't got our audit reports, and we're just wanting to make sure we don't continue to overspend when we need to know what we have, and we kind of want to work more with Parks and Rec with that one. So we're gonna put it on to next year's projects. Yeah. So since you mentioned Crazy Horse, been very difficult. We talked to each other on the phone multiple times. We were able to schedule a time where we were gonna look at the property, the exterior, and walk it, the entire exterior, and then go inside and walk the interior and see it. So I had the fire authority there so that we can see fire codes. We had Safe Built, so that we can have an inspector there and have code enforcement from Safe Built. Then we had John there for what violations that he sees that we can address. You know, the point was to write up something so he can take and then start working on it. Keisha and then myself, so we had 6 of us. When we got there, however, he would not let us go in. And that was not discussed or determined, because I would not have brought all these people together to do all that. So, it got to the point where it was getting frustrating, and so I made a decision to, talk to him to find out when exactly he wanted to have a structural engineer go in first before us. And so I said, I need to know that date so I can be here to verify that person's there. I got a phone call today that he had still has worked that out. So this is what we've been doing. It's a spin game. And I'm tired of being in the spin cycle. So we've looked in this property file. This has been going on since 1994, this spin cycle. And we know there's violations on the outside. We know there's violations on the inside. We also have reports from 4 or 5 years ago when they went through that it was deemed uninhabitable. And they wrote up specific codes that need to be addressed. He started working on them, and then when they found out that he would have to get inspections on it, he backed out. So nothing has been done. However, there's activity going on. His business license also has expired.
Yeah, well.
A long time ago. Years ago, so not just recently.
What type of license did he have?
He had like a little gift shop was the last thing.
Burlesque, it's a burlesque license.
Thing, you know.
Yeah.
Burlesque.
Yeah, we've addressed his signage. He's still marketing for, indoor storage site. He says that that's not what it is, but I'm like, when you're driving, all you see is, it's a storage facility.
It's a growing facility for a while.
It was a growth facility, and when I researched that technically was not allowed, because it's not, remember how I described, you either have a use by right or special use. There's nothing in here that allows a growth facility in our use by right or special use, and if it was a temporary use, it would have been limited to 3 months period. So, I told him that whatever previous administrator created is null and void, and I revoke it. So it is not appropriate for code. There was no legal even, determination this was fine, so I know better than that to say, this is not legal, you can't do this. Where we stand now is we're most likely going to get a search warrant. That's where we're heading to next, so that we can get in the building. So stay tuned.
In our lifetime. I mean, it's been going.
Will this be on the next episode of Cops?
But John's very much aware of it. We're gonna talk to the judge to get a search warrant to go in. So that's probably gonna be the next couple weeks, within the next couple weeks. So we'll probably have word based on our next meeting.
What code allowed CCFA, and granted this was Idaho Springs, to enter the hostel or hotel or whatever you wanna call it that was shut down? Yeah,
Yeah.
that they ended up shutting down because there was like,
They went in on an emergency call.
so they were on, okay.
Yeah.
That was right, it would be
Notice.
great if we could circumvent.
Someone had
that.
actually been injured,
I-
didn't they?
I thought about
Yeah.
that, and I just feel like, let's do the right, the harder is the better, because then at least we have liability and safety that we've all considered, but yeah, I talked to Kelly about that too, can we just go in? And I think we would prefer to do the search warrant right now.
Well, Kelly has even said to, Norm that if there's a fire, he cannot send his firemen into that building. He's gotta let it burn because it's just too dangerous.
Right, yeah.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
So that's that,
Should probably turn the water off then too. Just. Because I had a situation down here at this other house that was flooding that Kelly wouldn't let, because the structural went so bad because so much water was in there that no one would go in. And our team had to go in there because we couldn't get the curb stop that go in there. As safe as we tried to shut it down just to protect what we could protect at that point in time. So that is something that we should consider at that.
Can that be executed before
I
the?
will talk to them because we also know the power and the gas is still on too.
Yeah.
And so that probably.
Are those up to date? I mean, is that, I don't know if we're just, is that?
As far as I know, I think
I don't know.
someone, I think he is paying.
Yeah, I don't know. As you
Just an idea, just, I mean, you get into safety like that,
yeah,
where fire won't go in, then there's a few things that we should look at, safety as a town too.
as you know, we had, I guess from our, I don't know if I gave you the last conversation of this, but Excel, they were not gonna do the termination polls for another month or two, which would have put our Argentine North project on halt. And it would have cost us a tremendous amount of money. So I contacted Excel, in a more stern fashion and was able to get them to move it today. So that is an understatement. They are doing two termination polls, I think that they had, and they tied in the line was what was going on today. Which I hope only affected the area close to the lake, 22nd Street really. Although that took a while to even get, you know, for them to come back to us to find out exactly what perimeter that was gonna affect. So that's that, they're taking or disconnecting from the poles and then connecting to the lines that are underneath that are buried now. Tomorrow, I know, so that one, that's been a project that's been very painful to work through. So many setbacks and hardships through that. The Lake Flat, no, what is it called?
Lakeview Flats.
Lakeview Flats, I always mess this up. They have started, as you can see, if you've gone down there, you can see that they're putting the units together. This is a coordination between the state, DOLA, and their inspectors. And Safe Built, and Safe Built only connects, that is on the outside. The buildings that come together is actually inspected by the state, so the state is actually doing all that. They have a kind of grand open, not a grand opening, a breaking ground kind of ceremony tomorrow. You're welcome to come. They have food and you'll be able to go inside the building or the units and kind of see what they look like. 1 and 2 bedroom units. So that's going on tomorrow. I guess we'll go and
At noon.
at noon, yeah. So that's just put that on your radar. We've met twice now with the administrative policy and committee review or our review committee, and so we've been looking at 3 things. We're looking at Lexipol, which is a police department policy organization that runs the majority of all policies from police departments. And how many would you say that was part of that in Colorado?
Oh my God, hundreds.
Hundreds, it's probably the market share, the largest market share of policy committees and a policy organization. So we've been looking at it, Mary and I've gone through a demo, the police department is gonna go through a demo as well. It's a streamlined process, they actually keep, with all their lawyers and everything, will actually keep up to date of what the policy should be, and then send those to the people, to the organizations or municipalities, jurisdictions. So we're looking at that, we've already got quotes. It's a standard system. Idaho Springs,
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
yeah, all the ones in this area are all part of that. And so, even with some of the policies that we looked at back in December, that came from Lexipol, that I was able to get from the other jurisdictions. So that's one thing that we're looking at. Second is the license plate reader, just a policy that we can have since we're already starting to work through it. And the third is just an administrative interview policy. So, and when we do interviews, we wanna, have a consistent policy across the board. So that when we look at it, we know exactly to make sure that we're following something to be considered consistent and equal, and as we do it. So those are the 3 things. We will continue to look at other policies as need be for that committee, but that's just a simple update, unless you have anything to
Well,
add.
and they'll still come back to the board, so the policy committee will kind of crunch it.
And you get the refined view.
Shoot it to Jerry, look at it then, it'll still come back to us, so that we know what we're supporting as a town.
Right.
Yeah,
It sounds like a good process.
Yeah.
And the idea that you're involving someone that's already got lawyers on board and all that.
It'll save us,
Consistent.
yeah, it's not an expensive contract. When we come to look at it, but it's, it will certainly pay for itself and hopefully, no offense, Jerry, but hopefully save, you know, Jerry some time, us some money and time, you know, that these are rolling out, so.
Yeah, absolutely. Very good. So we have spent a lot of time, that committee it's been a great board to work with. And so it's, well,
It's because we nominated him, you as chair.
yeah,
But our community members are really excited,
Yes.
enthusiastic, I mean, I swear to God. if they-
Bruce, Kellyanne.
We're willing to meet on a daily basis, I mean, that's how
yes.
into it they are, so I commend them for their energy level.
Yeah.
And it is more painful, I think, and slow right now because we're kind of,
We just started.
right, exactly, but.
And they're good, their expertise on these things. And so it's been a good board to work with.
Bruce is actually a good policy guy and so.
Carrie brings a lot to the table, and she's got a lot of experience in different areas, so it's a good group.
So this here is a packet that I've been working on about the multi-jurisdictional housing authority. We will put this on the next meeting, our next board of selectmen meeting for a work session for us to talk about it. And I'm considering bringing in some guests to kind of get their feedback of how they process through it. So for example, Idaho Springs, how did they do this? How did they answer? And then us to talk about some hard questions. How did they get to this point? And even considering bringing in the county, how did they work through this and why, how do they feel this is gonna benefit Georgetown? So I'm trying to think of different angles of how we can talk about it and get answers to our questions. So stay tuned for that one. The food truck or food truck questions I've been working on. We'll discuss some of these other things that I have here in executive session. But those are some of the big rocks.
The housing authority thing, we were going to invite. The consultant group that prepared the study for the county.
Well, what I had hoped we could get from them was data on other housing authorities. And we had a list of a few other things and Rick and I have been working on that. I did talk with Amy Saxton and she said the consultant group did not provide this study with that kind of data or, so we're, it's my understanding that it sounded like George Marlin was going out to gather information on other housing authorities. I think you had also looked at checking with them, finding out when were they established, how long, you know, what do they provide, how long it took them to get major stepping stones accomplished. What their budgets are, that kind of stuff, just to inform us on. You know, so we're not reinventing any wheels.
Right, but I thought the organization that the county had contracted with, Safe Homes, It's Safe to Come Home. So, they had some.
Clear Path Home was the
Thank you.
name of the project.
But isn't that the organization's name that they consulted them?
No,
I don't know.
no. But what are you thinking that?
Well, because I thought there have been some presentations by some outside consultants to the.
Right,
So maybe even if when we prepare to look at that, if we've got the links to hear some of that information, you know, if anybody
Correct.
wants to go through it, it might shed some more light on it.
right.
And I'll also have a revised IGA that they have been working on.
Mhm.
So that we'll have the latest of that one. And even this morning, they did discuss it in the meeting with the managers and the mayors. Yeah, so that was discussed this morning, and then this afternoon, we had another discussion about considering building services. As you know, collectively, what are some of our struggles that we're having collectively and trying to think about some new options, and so I'm gonna be bringing some options to you guys to talk through.
Can I ask what happened to the dam siren last Wednesday?
So
What?
What happened to the dam siren last Wednesday?
Why do you gotta call it names?
Excel,
Oh,
Excel is checked,
I don't know, are you?
No, I'm not.
Excel is checking into it. They checked it and electrically, there's no reason why it wouldn't have gone off. But they were surprised that it didn't. They are aware of it. And so weirdly, so that was this month's. In July, I was pulling up to meet with Rick right when it was supposed to go off. And I could hear in the distance, I could hear the whirling part. I can't possibly hear the other two. But I could hear that that one was going off and had been restored to the whooping, then the verbal, and then the whoop at the end, so the three parts. Which the previous one had only had the whooping. The June one didn't have any verbal instruction at all. But this one that's right here at their substation was silent. And they were not aware of that either, so they're looking into it, they don't have answers yet.
What's the verbal instruction?
You can't understand it.
No, it's right, it has not
It's
been,
That's
awful.
right.
Yeah,
it has not been clear yet.
It's either saying run or don't run, I don't know, it's like.
It's probably not.
Can't tell,
Yeah. Okay.
so,
Lace your head and your legs.
I mean, the
So-
siren work, or, you know, when the siren goes, I mean, obviously, when it does, but you can't understand the instructions at all.
so, and they were made aware of that as well from the beginning, you know. Great siren, but you can't understand what the instructions are, so,
Grab hold of the buoy.
but stay away from the dam. So, it's a work in progress. This is why we test. So, anything else you wanna bring up?
I wanna do the voice of the instructions.
Of course.
We think it sounds like Mickey Ramos.
Okay,
I think I can do better.
okay,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
oh, no, not so fast, sir, not so fast, we have an executive session. So, and Dwight's gonna read.
I move to go into executive session under CRS 24-6. 4024 A, B, and E with the town attorney, town administrator, and appropriate staff to receive legal advice and instruct negotiators concerning the Scott driveway access, purchase of real property and capital prize line litigation. And under CRS 24-6 4024 F with the town administrator and appropriate staff for a personal matter, police chief candidate interview preparation. I further move to reconvene the open meeting at the conclusion of the executive session for the purpose of taking any action deemed necessary.
Okay. Amanda did the second.
I'm sorry, I was quiet.
That's okay. It's been moved and seconded, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.